What's going on, guys? Dan here. Let's continue this little mini education series we're doing, and let's talk about day trading futures. So I'm going to give you the basics and walk you through what futures are and give you some insight to this stuff. So we began teaching futures. When I first started this company, as we've expanded, and I'm taking more of a backseat role in 2017, but let me talk to you about what we did. So when I was between institutional jobs, and I was working at a forex broker dealer called MB Trading. Some of you heard of this firm. There was an old firm in Scottsdale, Arizona called SOS Trading and Block Trading. Old school guys, if you're watching this, remember the prop trading days. I'd worked with some guys who worked there. I was between jobs, so I started day trading futures. It was the first time in my career that I've ever day traded by myself. And so I got on Twitter, met some people, and I started a little mini live trader. It was like a really bad website, and it was like $125 a month, and I literally traded live futures. I'll pull up a trade I'm in a second. And I would just trade futures to hang out because I had nothing else to do, and it was boring. So I met somebody from a trading forum called Big Mike's. I've actually never been on that forum. I don't go on trading forums. I don't know about this world too much, and since I've got on this, I don't really like a lot of this educational world from what I've seen the past few years. Hence, we're trying to make a lot of changes. I don't like the institutional stuff. The big banks are rough on consumers. You saw what they did to us in 2009, 2008 for not, smart buyers. So we're kind of trying to make a change in the markets. And so part of that change and part of the education change we're trying to bring to you is I want people to understand that you don't have to just day trade stocks, right? You have to get this myth out of your mind that this is still 1999, 2000 where people day trade stocks, right? This is not what this is. You have really good products in the futures markets where you can actually day trade, right? So when I was teaching people, if you're wanting to make like a daily income, or you don't want to buy and hold, or you don't have $100,000 to trade with, you can literally day trade the futures market. There's a thing called day trade margin they give you, right? It's so much more beneficial, in my opinion, for futures day trading than it is actually equities trading or day trading options, right? I like swing trading equities. I like swing trading options. Let me reverse that for a bit. I don't swing trade equities a lot, maybe one or two swing trades in the past 3 or 4 years, right? So, but I day trade the futures market, and sometimes I swing trade in the futures market. So futures are a day trader's product. You can be in and out in 1 to 2 hours a day. I really mean that. I know that sounds like a real slimy sales pitch that you see pitched online. That it really is how it is. Futures trades happen if they move quickly in a matter of seconds sometimes. I'm in a futures trade. I've been in it for the past hour and a half. I'll pull it up here in a second. It's very quick moving markets. So we're going to discuss this concept called Talk Futures to Me. I'm going to show you a trade that I'm looking at right now. I'm going to go to cost to begin and talk a little bit about our program in the futures markets. So most of you have probably traded stocks. You've had this concept of day trading stocks. So with futures, let's talk about the margins. When you place a futures trade, if you buy, 10 shares of a stock that's $1, you have $10 cost. Futures, it's a fixed hold to make the purchase, right? To trade one Emini futures contract, and I'm going to pull up my screen on one of my trades here right now. Give me just a moment. Where are you? I'm going to pull up here if I can. So this is a futures trade that I've been in this probably the past hour and a half, 2 hours. So this is a futures trading platform. This is an Emini short trade. When I put this trade on, it's $50 for me to hold this position, right? So, or I'm sorry, $500 hold the position. I'm up $50, but the cost to hold this is $500 of capital, right? So every 1 point this moves, it's $50 in P&L, in profit, right? So I'll pull this up back here in a second, but I'm going to walk you through some more of this. So what is E-mini? That's what I just showed you. It's E-mini S&P. So E-mini stands for electronic mini or E-mini contracts. So before the ICE exchange, the different exchange we'll get to later, the markets were not electronic. You saw that the trading floor, the pits in Chicago, New York, they're all kind of by the wayside now. It's all electronic trading. So E-mini contracts have been a big hit in the marketplace. There's a lot of volume in the futures markets. When I was trading large portfolios, one of the way we hedged our portfolios, our books, was by hedging through the S&P 500 E-mini markets. So there's a lot of liquidity in these markets for a lot of big traders, people that trade a lot of size. This is a market where we would trade it, right? You've read stories about big traders. There's a trader in London, they say he caused a flash crash. this is where he was trading massive amounts of money. So Paul Tudor Jones, a lot of the great futures traders started trading futures and commodities. For us, it's very inexpensive and I can actually day trade this, right? The P&L moves pretty quickly on this. I think I was up $200 at one point. I'm trying to swing trade this lower. So I'm just letting this thing do what it needs to do. I'm only short one contract, not a lot of size. And I'm just testing this out here. So Emini is a pretty good product for day trading the markets, right? You can day trade the entire market. So instead of having to go and have a daily watch list every day, instead of having to buy stock scanners and, wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and scan the market and see what you want to trade and look at news, read news articles, go read a stock forum. Emini is literally the purest day traders market. This is what that's for, right? Why more people, why more educators that I see it online as I come to this field, why they don't teach this? It doesn't make any sense to me. I had one of them tell me that the futures market was shady, or I forgot what the gentleman had said. It was through a student, right? It's not. Large institutions trade in the futures markets. The majority of my personal trading my entire career has been futures trading, right? If you want to make large amounts of money, if you want to day trade, this is where it's at. I think there's some type of appeal that you see when people love to talk about stocks, right? Or why a company's doing this and that. Or again, going back to I'm going to buy this stock and it's going to make me rich off one trade, right? It's an awesome idea to think of. I'm more of a realist. I'm just trying to discuss the day traders markets. So the bullet points. Either it's Emini S&P 500, which I love, Emini Russell 2000, Emini Dow. You could trade multiple futures contracts, right? So commodities markets are the same. You could trade oil, natural gas, cotton. We don't really trade those too much, right? You can trade those, but if you're focusing on day trading, you want to focus on a few products, right? The commodities markets, I'd say orange juice, copper, gold. Not really gold, you can day trade that. Cocoa, soybeans, those are more long-term hold mark trades. Where S&P 500, this trade here, I can day trade this, right? I can mess around with the position and scalp and make $50 here, a couple $100 here, back forth, depending on what your strategy is. So a few that I like on the commodities, I love crude oil, right? I love to trade that market. It's my favorite one next to S&P futures. Gold, I'll trade US dollars every once in a while, and I love the yen futures, right? So for you Forex traders watching this, when you see these guys talk about trading Forex, open an account with $500 and make money. You can do that, but you're making very, very small amounts of money. Again, these videos, we teach our students, if you have a small account, it's $1,000, $1,500, even $2,000, you're really pressing it, right? The student video before we discussed where he had 2,000, he had a lot more in another trading account. He was just testing the option side. So most students, when you get in this, you should have capital, right? If you don't have that capital, you're climbing an uphill battle, and we've talked about that before. So I would rather trade the futures, the yen futures versus the Forex pairs futures, right? There's a few reasons why I'll get into later. But I love trading the yen futures. It's a great product in my opinion. So some random guy here will go through and I'll talk to you about another point on this. So most of these markets trade near 24/7, right? You can pretty much trade them just like Forex, right? All these stories you hear about Forex trading, about being the biggest market in the world, a lot of that's bank trading. It's not individuals, right? So again, it's a talking point people use. You can literally trade the futures market. I'm going to pull up an order down here and show you what it looks like on the yen. I don't know if it's active on this side. But here's the yen, right? So this is the yen trading right now. I could trade the yen if I wanted to, right? But just the commodity futures. It's a little more, I think, liquid. I like it better than the Forex market, right? I used to work at a Forex broker-dealer firm. I've seen some of the things I didn't like there with the markets. So that means you can trade at 5 p.m. at night. You can trade the yen because it moves at night, or 2 a.m. or 6 a.m. So during the summer, I'll basically try and wake up, depending on the setups, and trade the London market. What I mean by that is I'll trade oil, the yen, or the euro when the Europeans wake up and they start their trading day because there's volume, right? So this allows you to maneuver. So if you can't day trade because you have a job, right, and you want to trade, futures are where to do this. If you've been trading and you think you have to watch your positions all the time, you can just trade options or swing trade, right? There's different products to fit what you're looking to do, right? So this is the same for options on futures. You can trade options on futures product. So there's margin on this. Let's talk about how you use margin to trade. There's no fee on this. It's real simple. So day trade margin is even available at night. So right now, when I put this S&P futures trade on, the broker holds $500. They put a debit hold in my account of $500 to place this trade. When I get rid of this trade, when I close it out, that $500 goes back in my account plus, let's say I profit 112, that goes back in my account. So at nighttime, I can trade S&P futures for a $500 margin hold. They just hold a margin on your account. They just hold it so you can trade the contract. Right? I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's pretty kind of a brief overview on that. So S&P contracts are 500, Russells are 500, mini Dow's 500, crude oil is 1,000, and gold futures is 1,000. Depending on what broker you go to, it's different. So if I pull up my Thinkorswim chart here, and I'll go to it here briefly. You know, with Thinkorswim, if I were to trade futures with these guys, the margin, I think, is $5,000 to make this trade, right? I have a different broker. I have a few of them, right? This broker only charges me $500 because they want the business. They can charge a commission, so they want me to trade there. And that's open to all of you. It's not just one person kind of thing, right? So I still use Thinkorswim's free charting platform because I trade with them, but I trade my futures through a different futures broker. Right, so the margin is very inexpensive to do this. It's one of the reasons I would prefer, you know, trading futures and kind of day trading. So bullet points. So there is no fee to trade on margin. The fee is the trade-off is you trade, they get a commission, right? Just like you would trade stocks. Commissions are pretty cheap, $5, $6 a trade. Cost of doing business. I always say, look, if your commissions are bothering you, you're not making enough money. I really mean that. Or you just don't have enough capital to trade. So again, sometimes at TD Ameritrade you can lower it. I don't know if they do it anymore, but we trade at discount brokers that we could trade. So typically the startup cost. Let's talk about startup cost to trade futures. So number one, you have to pay data. It's not like Thinkorswim where the data is free. Right? If you want to trade this order, we call this an order dump. Right? They charge me, I think, $27 a month to get all this information. Now, I don't use this broker's charts. I still use Thinkorswim's charts. Right? This platform right here, this software was free. There are softwares that will cost you $100, $200 a month. There's one that I use that cost me, I just bought the license, I think it was like $700. It's a really good software. It's very, very fast. Right, these, what we consider hotkeys. Right, I could hit this right now and get out of this trade instantly in a matter of a second. Right, sometimes it spikes and I have to. Right now I'm trying to swing trade this position into next week, so I'm not really messing with this particular position. But there is a data fee, about $20 to $120 a month, depending on how much data you want. Typically you can get away with about $20 a month with data. So I really believe you should not come into the futures market underfunded. You should have about $5,000 to do this. Right. Other people will tell you need 1,000 to 2,000. I think it's a recipe for a disaster. I think you need to give yourself some breathing room to do this properly. Again, this is my opinion. Some brokers allow you to fund, I think, $1,000. I don't know why. I think even 500. But it's something to look into. So computer-wise, you don't have to get too crazy, right? And I've seen a lot of videos lately. These guys with 10 computer monitors. I actually trade better when I'm on a laptop. I have 3 computer monitors. And the computer cost me was like $1,500. That's a custom build, right? You can get away with one that's $600, $300, and be perfectly fine. It just depends on what you're looking for in the markets. So a lot of people talk about high-speed internet. I'm just telling you from this standpoint, I have regular internet from Cox Communications in Arizona. I've seen zero difference in buying faster internet, and I've seen people that want to buy it and think it's going to make a difference, right? It's not. Unless you're trading multiple size and high-frequency trading, your internet speed is going to be fine wherever you are. I wouldn't recommend trading futures, day trading futures anyway, from a Wi-Fi connection. But, you know, it's 2017. A lot of the technology is pretty awesome. So I use Zen Trader, which is you're kind of looking at, or Ninja Trader. As I was mentioning, one's free and one's a monthly fee you can go after. So The other platform is Thinkorswim. I use their trading charts, right? So this is what I do. Literally, when I trade the markets, I have order DOMs open, and I'll go through this. I can walk and show you, right? And I have a different window with all my, we call these order DOMs, these windows here, all my futures windows open. So I watch the charts here, and I can get in and out of a trade by just pressing here, right? But I use Thinkorswim's data, and I just execute my trades through here. The good thing about this particular broker I'm using right now in Los Angeles is if I'm on the road, and I was the other day, I can call that broker and say, hey, will you put a stop in for me? Will you sell my position? Will you buy a position for me? And they do it. They don't charge you any extra. That's really rare to find in today's markets. It's a cool thing for me. So I keep an account there, one at Ninja Trader, and it allows me to kind of navigate and trade the markets. So let me go back to one of these slides here. And I don't want to go into too much of our program, but I want to just discuss briefly on the futures side of kind of what I was just showing you, right? So the futures markets move pretty quickly. Maybe if I can go through this trade here and walk us through what I'm looking for, I can give you more of an idea on this. So this will fluctuate. Again, I have price targets on this. I'm waiting for this to sell off to next week to like 2060, 2058, right? So I had shorted this. Let's talk about where I shorted this position. Here at 2276, this little star. So my short position was right here at this level at 2276. I mean, I'm betting against this stock. If I have a price target, or future rather, of 2260, which is down here, right, that gives me a net profit of 15 points. Right? On the S&P futures market, every point is $50. So 15-point trade will equate to what's that, $750 in profit, provided I'm able to reach that target. Right? To make this trade, it only cost me a margin of $500. Right? Some people like to scalp the markets. Will take $50 here. I'm a little different, right? Depending on the market, depending on the setup. Right now, I believe, in my opinion, I think this is a setup where I can get potential swing trade and maybe hold this into the kind of, lower levels in this. So that's a quick overview of the futures market. This kind of goes in pair with the other videos we've been uploading to the YouTube channel. If you have more questions, you can learn more about futures, options, and equities trading by attending a Trading 101 webinar. We hold them live online webinars and in person in Scottsdale, Vancouver, Newport, Houston, and like I mentioned before, we've got an office opening in Brisbane, Australia as well. So make sure to check out the website, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have any questions, make sure to email them in, and we'll address them in the next video.